Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again, back with more Just Know HOA stories. In this video, my outrageous homeowner association stole my identity to build an illegal swimming pool, putting me over $50,000 in credit card debt. Here is what happened. The title story starts like this. I've been a long-time lurker of reading all of these stories about horrible HOAs. I have known for a long time that mine was pretty bad, but never close to the stories that I read. Still, I would always imagine about being able to do something and get them shut down for good. Mine seemed to be just generically bad, with bothering homeowners about small details all the time. More annoying than the evil stuff I usually read. After years, it is my turn though to tell a story of how the just annoying HOA turned into one of the most criminal things any HOA might have ever done. Everybody in the neighborhood pays HOA dues and the board decides how the money should be getting used. When we heard that they were using it to build a community pool, some of us were confused. We did not think that the money would be enough for much of anything. We figured it would be a very small pool that would not really end up being worth it. Nobody went to these meetings though, so that one detail can go on some of us for not voting against it. The rest, I think you can agree, is fully the fault of the HOA. Over the next few months, we watched as this luxury pool was built that clearly cost more money than we had paid that year in dues. Maybe there had been a leftover surplus or something. Anything was possible until proven otherwise. Going way off plot, I had been shopping around for a new car and finally found the one I wanted. The only issue was when they ran my credit, it was in the toilet. I was never one to really believe in credit cards, so I very rarely used them. If I wanted most things, I would use a debit card and the credit card was safe for big things like the car. So my credit being bad made zero sense. Attempting to figure out the issues with your credit can be a frustrating process that involves getting transferred to different people a lot. I was finally able to talk to somebody that had answers about why my credit was so bad. And well, apparently I had spent $50,000 on my credit card and not paid back a single cent of it. No monthly payments were being made at all. The one thing that did not make sense was when I got the information, it did not match up to the one credit card I had. I was directed to contact the bank the card was issued from, which is not a bank I use at all. When I contacted them, I was basically told that the debt went to collections and the interest was going to keep going up until it was paid off. I explained that I did not open that card, but they were not interested in hearing anything about it. As a last-ditch attempt, I requested a full copy of all purchases made. Since it was my information in the system, the bank was able to send that to me. I looked it over and noticed that the purchases were being made in my local area. Most of them to contractors and businesses that I never heard of. I looked them up online and found that one place sold pool equipment and the other did outdoor construction work, etc. It felt like too big of a coincidence, but first things first. I got a lawyer because I didn't want collection agencies taking me to court for money that I never actually spent myself. I also urged my neighbors to check their credit and make sure nothing weird was going on with them. $50,000 was a lot, but I think the pool would have cost a lot more than that. I was right, and other neighbors told me that they found out a card had been opened in their name and maxed out locally. We contacted a lawyer telling them that we were pretty sure the HOA had illegally stolen our identity to open credit cards in our name to pay for the pool. A stolen identity case is complicated because most of the time it's impossible to prove. For this, he told us that we actually had a pretty strong case. The main thing he would need was a judge to agree that there was enough evidence to force the HOA to hand over the invoices for all the pool work. I guess the HOA got word of what we were doing apparently because one of the board members decided to confront me one day in a not-so-friendly manner. HOA guy, how could you be so selfish? Me, excuse me? Making up lies to cover up the fact that you cannot spend responsibly. Wanting to make the entire neighborhood suffer and not get nice things because you wanna lie through your teeth. Guys, I wanted so badly to just verbally murder that man right then and there to tell him how we knew it was them and could prove it too. That I was going to make sure he went to jail for stealing my identity. I knew that I couldn't and had to just bite my tongue and wait things out. The lawyer told us all not to engage with HOA members or their lawyer regarding the situation. I was forced to walk away with that man thinking he had won instead of punching the smile off of his face. While the investigation was ongoing, the pool was not allowed to be open, so now a finished pool was just kind of sitting there. It did not help that the HOA didn't have to be quiet and was quick to tell everybody that it was me and the other neighbors' fault for the pool being delayed. Again, I could not even defend myself and just had to wait for the lawyers and judge to sort everything out. The lawyers were eventually able to get the invoices after a lot of fighting back and forth. The judge saw that multiple people in the same neighborhood claimed that their identity was stolen, recent credit cards being opened, and all the payments on the cards seeming to be related to construction as plenty. The invoices of course showed what we all expected them to. The payments were made in cards with our names on them. The HOA attempted an argument that we willingly opened the cards and wanted to help pay for the pool out of the kindness of our hearts. We denied it, and then the lawyers wanted the banks to give the courts the paperwork of the cards being opened, which would include a signature. And surprise, surprise, none of them matched up to our actual handwriting, but they did all match to each other. They did not even bother having multiple people going and opening the accounts, just the one. Now, you might think, well, they cannot arrest anybody since the HOA has many people that could be guilty, right? Well, you forget how self-centered these types of people are though. They are fine lying and trying to keep up a front together until they are caught. Then all fingers pointed to the two people that were behind the entire thing, the HOA president and a member of the board who went to the banks. They were both arrested for identity theft and credit card fraud. The judge ordered them to get as much money back from the pool that they could to pay off the credit card debt. Whatever they couldn't, they would have to pay us out of pocket until the debt were cleared. Also, we made sure all the bank accounts falsely in our names were closed and any information they had in their homes on us were confiscated and destroyed. They found fake IDs and all sorts of paperwork to lie about being us, and luckily they are now in prison. The bad news is that there is still an HOA and I don't trust them for 1 minute still. And yeah, Ripe Stars, honestly, if I would be OP, I would move out of that neighborhood ASAP. However, then again, if you sell your house there, I'm curious, would you tell the potential buyer that this HOA is such a nightmare? I'm not sure if you have to disclose something like this, but I would probably feel bad if I didn't. Let me know what you would do in the comments, and while you're at it, please don't forget to like the video, because that would help me tremendously. Thank you so much. The next one is titled, Steal My Work? Get destroyed. So I do data analysis for financial firms. I am based in Europe, but I get a new line manager from America. Now, I get on really well with my American colleagues, but this guy is an asshat. Not sure how he got promoted to his position as he knew nothing about the industry. I frequently had to present to the board and he would always go through my slides beforehand and ask me about them, and he would then ask purposefully challenging questions about things he had only just learned from me 5 minutes before the meeting. Really outlandish behavior. Once I realized what he was doing, I started being more careful about how much I shared. One time though, I managed to plant questions that made him look stupid in front of the board. Following this incident, he started making me present to him beforehand and then would take my presentation and deliver it himself to take the credit. This really pissed me off, so I took my petty revenge. For the next meeting, I included a few slides in the PowerPoint that were not connected to the presentation. I was able to quickly skip through these when I was going through it with him, so he did not pick them up. However, once he got in the meeting, the fun began. The board were very surprised to see a picture of a baby kangaroo in the middle of the projected Q3 earnings. He got flustered and blundered through the next few slides. He was just getting back on track, but then the regional analysis appeared on the bare chest of Tom Brady. The board were getting visibly annoyed at this point and they thought he was joking around. It all settled down until the final slide. It was the standard, any questions? Only the faded picture in the background just happened to be a bikini picture of the CEO's daughter taken from her Instagram. How did that get there? Douchebag quickly made his apologies and left. He came gunning for me, so I had to play ignorant, saying, I don't know how that happened, it was all fine when we went through it before. Must have been a hacker or something. Luckily, Sergeant Douchebag bought this excuse as he knows nothing about anything. The board, however, were not so forgiving and immediately transferred him to a more junior position. 6 months later, I got promoted the role he advocated. And honestly guys, I don't know why this story was in r/petty revenge. This has got to be one of the most entertaining, smart revenge stories I've read in the past few months, and I would say it at least borders the pro-revenge territory. Let me know what you think in the comments. And the next one is titled Revenge on Wife. First off, this story occurred many years ago. Let me give you a rundown of the laws around divorce where we lived at the time. Both parties need to agree to the divorce unless one party can prove the other party is at fault. This would mean something akin to cheating. There are also other reasons, but cheating falls into this. Now, honestly, I shouldn't have married my ex-wife, but I was young, dumb, full of and she was pretty, and I did what I did. So after our first year of marriage, I came to the conclusion that I wanted to end our marriage. It was not working out for many reasons. However, my ex-wife did not want to divorce. Her life was better being married to me than without me, and I think she was trying to hold on to that. However, there was no love between us. My ex-wife set a price of $100,000 to agree to a divorce. This does happen here, where if one party wants a divorce and the other doesn't, the party that doesn't want the divorce comes up with a cash payment they want and you negotiate from there. So romantic, by the way. Now, I didn't have $100,000, I could get about $25,000 and I was willing to pay that. Also, we had no kids, we didn't own anything together, etc. We spent a long time going back and forth over money and how much I would pay her to divorce me. She then finally agreed. I was thrilled, I was so happy. I decided I would go out and celebrate, and that night the stars aligned. Now, to give you an idea of how utterly lucky I am about to get, we lived in a city about the size of Chicago, many millions of people, lots of places to go. So my friend took me to a new bar in a part of the city I had never been to before. We celebrated, we had a good time. Anyway, I walk out the bar around 2:30 a.m. and it was like effing Christmas. There was my wife with another man I had a hunch she was cheating on me with, and I was so happy. She was heading for a taxi and I ran and got into a taxi behind her and told the cab driver to follow them. Much to my enjoyment, the taxi was clearly going to my house. So then she gets out, I pull out the camera and I get a few pictures of her kissing this man. Once I get the photos, I immediately email them to my work account to protect them, and I get out the car and I approach the two lovebirds. I introduce myself, I thank the kind gentleman, and I make one request. If they do want to have intercourse, don't have intercourse in my house, but that's all. I then hand her lover my business card, I thank him for all the money he has saved me and tell him if he ever wants to go grab a beer, I'd be happy to buy him a few rounds. I then wish the two lovebirds all the best and go up the stairs and head to my bed. To say my ex-wife was livid was an understatement. However, the next morning she pointed out something, and I have no idea how strong her argument could be in a courtroom, but it did concern me. She said since we already agreed to divorce, it was not really cheating, and I would still have to pay her. Well, that afternoon I get a phone call. It's my ex-wife's boyfriend. He apologized for sleeping with my ex-wife. I told him, no worries. He then said he would like to talk to me. We agreed to meet up, and we do. Turns out he had previously been cheated on, and apparently my ex-wife lied to him about his relationship status. She said we were waiting for our divorce to be finalized, which was not true, and that she did not live with me anymore, which was also not true, and he also asked me if I had intercourse with her in the last 6 months, and I said I did. Turns out their relationship had begun about 6 months prior, and they were sexually active with each other. And she told him she was not having intercourse with anyone, especially me. Whoops! I asked him if he had any documentation of them dating, and he goes, yeah. He ended up sending me all the pictures he took of them together, some of which included him kissing her, etc. He also sent me numerous screenshots of text messages between her and him, some of which included her clearly lying about her relationship status with me. I put all of this in a folder and backed it up to numerous places to include a USB drive which I hide in my office at work in case she found a way to delete the data, which she never did, and I then went to my ex-wife and I had a sit down with her. I went over the mountain of evidence I had against her. Option A, she agreed to a non-contested divorce. I'll give her 30 days to move out, she gets nothing from me and I get nothing from her. Option B, I get a lawyer and I sue the living crap out of her, get a massive judgment against her, still get my divorce and settle her with a ton of debt for the rest of her life. She obviously agreed to the non-contested divorce that was on a Saturday, and that Monday we went to the courthouse, filed for divorce, and this started her 30 days. I shacked up with my buddy so I could be out of her way. Which, by the way, guys, is a very weird way to say that he met up with his buddy. But anyway, we had a court hearing a few weeks later. The judge made it clear that we were doing a non-contested divorce, and once he stamps the divorce decree, we have to report this to City Hall and our divorce will be finalized. Us not having kids or property made it quick and easy. We both agreed, we both signed, and the judge stamped the documents. I eagerly grabbed my divorce decree and rushed to City Hall to report my divorce, and wham bam, thank you ma'am, I was a free man. I actually ended up becoming friends with the guy that was screwing my wife, and we still talk today. Although over the pandemic our relationship got distant, but not because of a falling out or anything, just not talking to each other. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, these cheating marriage stories are always horrifying to read. But one thing I always wonder about. This guy pretty much dodged the biggest bullet imaginable. To be honest, it was more like a cannonball. However, I'm curious if guys like the person in this story ever get married again, or if they are in some kind of trauma or something. Honestly, if I would be in the same situation, I would 100% never get married again. Absolutely terrifying situation there. Anyway, the next one is a Am I the Jerk story. I have a 4-year-old daughter, Emma. I am an alcoholic and I've been sober for 2 years. My brother was Emma's court-appointed guardian from when she was 15 months old to just before her 3rd birthday. I had to fight for almost a year to get her back. My brother and sister-in-law are still upset that I took Emma from them and have called CPS on me numerous times and made it clear that they don't trust me to take care of my own kid. They love Emma and Emma loves them, so I tried to take her to see them a couple times a month. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, Emma caught the stomach flu from someone at her preschool. I'm in school full-time and had a midterm that day, so I asked my brother to watch her for a couple of hours so I could take my test. They said they were happy to take her, so I brought her to their house that morning with her medicine, a schedule saying when she's supposed to take which medicine and the dosage, a bottle of Pedialyte and a few changes of clothes. I came to pick her up after the midterm and half her medicine, her clothes and her Pedialyte were gone. And by the way guys, sorry, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. Anyway, when I asked about it, they said they threw away all of her medicine and the Pedialyte because they were liquids and they were already open, so I could have put something in there to make her sick or sleep. Not that it helps much, but I would never hurt my daughter or give her anything that wasn't recommended by her pediatrician. They also said I shouldn't be giving her Tylenol and Motrin. Again, her doctor said it's fine, so they didn't buy her any Motrin. Then I asked about the nausea medicine prescription, and they said they didn't think she needs prescription meds for the stomach flu. They also felt like her clothes were not good enough for her, so they gave it to their neighbor for their garage sale and bought her new clothes. Meaning they most likely took her shopping when she was sick and should have been resting. I left with Emma and have not spoken to them since, except to tell them that they will not be allowed anywhere near my kid unsupervised again. I'm working on Thanksgiving, so I was going to drop Emma off with my parents so she could see my family, but I still don't want her to be around them without me, so I'm leaving her with her babysitter instead. Now my family is giving me a hard time for not letting my brother and sister-in-law see Emma and are excusing what they did by saying they were just worried about her. So Reddit, am I the jerk for not letting my daughter see my brother and sister-in-law? And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that OP is the a-hole in this story or not? Let me know in the comments. And a user on Reddit said, not the a-hole. They are clearly not worried about Emma, they are trying to sabotage your parenting efforts so they can regain custody of your daughter. It was lovely that they gave her a safe place to be when it was needed, but you've earned your daughter and deserve to be her mother without these people treating you this way. Comment number 2, not the a-hole, you need to stand your ground here. They are constantly putting you in danger of losing your child by calling CPS on you. They threw away prescribed medication, they are acting as if Emma is their daughter and undermining your decisions as a parent. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.